Welcome to this tutorial on Infix functions in Kotlin. Infix functions are a powerful feature that allows you to write more natural and readable code by creating custom syntax that looks like natural language. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to create and use Infix functions effectively in your Kotlin projects. Infix functions are special functions in Kotlin that can be called using infix notation. This means you can omit the dot and parentheses when calling these functions, making your code more readable and expressive. Instead of writing traditional function calls with dots and parentheses, infix notation allows you to write code that reads more like natural language, which is especially useful when creating domain-specific languages or Fluent APIs. Let's look at a concrete example to understand the difference. On the left, you see the standard way of calling a function, 1 dot plus open parenthesis 2 close parenthesis. On the right, you see the same operation using infix notation, 1 space plus space 2. Both accomplish the same task, but the infix version is cleaner and easier to read. The infix notation removes the syntactic noise of dots and parentheses, making the code feel more natural. To create an infix function, you must follow 4 specific requirements. First, the function must be either a member function of a class or an extension function. Second, it must have exactly one parameter, no more and no less. Third, that parameter cannot have a default value assigned to it. And fourth, the parameter cannot be a vararg parameter that accepts multiple arguments. These constraints ensure that infix functions maintain a clean and predictable syntax. Here's how you create an infix function. You start with the infix keyword, followed by the fun keyword. This example shows an extension function on the int type called power that takes an exponent parameter of type int and returns an int. Inside the function, we initialize a result variable to 1, then use the repeat function to multiply the result by this, which refers to the number we're raising to the power. Finally, we return the result. The infix keyword is what makes this function callable using infix notation. Now let's see how to use our power function. On the left, you see the standard way, val result equals 2 dot power open parenthesis 3 close parenthesis. On the right, you see the infix way, val result equals 2 space power space 3. Both return 8, which is 2 raised to the power of 3. The infix version is much more readable and feels like a natural mathematical expression. You can choose either syntax depending on which fits better in your code context. Infix functions shine when building domain-specific languages. Here's a real-world example from testing frameworks. We create an infix function called shouldBe as an extension on string. It takes an expected parameter and throws an assertion error if the actual value doesn't match. Below, you can see how elegant the usage becomes. Actual value space should be space quote expected quote. This reads almost like plain English and makes test assertions incredibly clear and expressive. This is exactly the kind of readability that makes infix functions so valuable in Kotlin. Let's wrap up with some best practices for using infix functions. First, only use infix notation for operations that read naturally like human language. Second, keep your function names short and descriptive so the infix syntax flows well. Third, infix functions are especially great for building domain-specific languages and Fluent APIs where readability is paramount. And finally, don't overuse them. If an infix function makes your code harder to understand rather than clearer, stick with the standard function call syntax. The goal is always to maintain code clarity and make your intentions obvious to other developers.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.